Okay then, let's start basics of hoops. Hmm. Okay, from the starting classes onwards, I'm saying that JavaScript is an object-based programming language. And some of you have asked me, sir, is JavaScript is an object-oriented programming or is it a different one? So, object-oriented programming is actually a style of programming. It is a style of programming. In the sense, it is not given to only one programming language. It is given to any programming language. For example, Java has OOP, like object oriented programming. Your C++ has object oriented programming. Python has object oriented programming. Your C does not have object oriented programming, but the others have. So object oriented programming is not something that you build upon. It is a style. It is a style and how you solve a problem, on how you solve a problem. For example, if you ask me, sir, if without if sir, if I don't know object oriented programming, can I solve any problem or not? Yes, you can solve a problem. You can solve any problem in real world or in programming without using object oriented programming. You can still solve it by using procedural programming techniques or anything else. But object oriented programming is a style of programming which gives you good results, which gives you good time complexities. So that is why object oriented programming has become famous programming paradigm. Now let's talk more about object oriented programming. In object oriented programming, the main motive here is something called class. In JavaScript, if you ask me, there is no class. There is no class at all in JavaScript. But it's this the class that I'm gonna teach you in JavaScript is different from what you're gonna learn in other programming languages. In other programming languages, classes is different. Here, class is also an object. Understand what I'm saying? Class is also an object. For example, there is something called class in JavaScript. I'll teach you what is class and all. There is something called class. If you see here, we write class keyword, but in interviews, if an interviewer asks you, just JavaScript has a real inbuilt classes, you have to answer it as no, because JavaScript does not have a real class. It does not have a real class. Here, classes are called special functions. Classes are called special functions, or you can also call them special objects. You can call them special objects, or also you can call them special functions. Anything is fine. But the classes that you're gonna learn in JavaScript are not the real classes that are present in other programming languages. That is one thing I want to make it clear before starting. Now, what is a class? You can ask me, okay, you started with object oriented programming, now we are talking something about class. What is this class? Class is nothing but a blueprint. Let me show it to you. Blueprint. This is what a class looks like. This is what a class looks like in JavaScript, and this is how we will be coding also. This is how a classes will be. You'll just be giving a blueprint of it. For example, not in the sense exactly not like this, but something like this. For example, let's take a car. Let's take three cars: Audi, Nissan, Volvo, or you can also take something like Tesla, BMW, anything. Tell me what are the common elements in these all cars. There are different companies. Tesla is a different company, Volvo is a different company, Audi is a different company, BMW is a different company. But what are the similarities in all these cars that they give? What are the similarities? Wheels, windows, engines, four wheels. Yeah, like the similarities of the cars. If an object is there, think that there is an object, and if you want to call that object a car, what are the primary things that you will see? Yeah, whether it has tires or not, it has to have four tires, it has to have doors, it has to have some windows, it has to have a steering wheel, an engine. So there will be some difference, there will be some similarities, right? And if you take BMW, a steering wheel, if you take a Ferrari, a steering wheel, if you take a Tesla, a steering wheel, the similarities will be same, like the seats and all. So that these things are called blueprints. These things are called blueprint. Why do we call it a blueprint? Because using this blueprint, the car companies try to manufacture cars on top of it. I don't know if you know this or not. Like when the starting in the early ages, when the cars were getting invented, when they were starting to create cars, they have a patent on a blueprint. They have made a patent on its car blueprint, so that they have made a stamp like, if someone has to call an object car, these are the primary aspects that a car has to have. The car has to have four wheels, the car has to have windows, seats, and all. So that is the reason all the cars that we see now look moreover similar. They all have like same four wheels and all. So that is called a blueprint. In JavaScript, these things are called classes. These things are called classes. One example I can give you is, let's say a rectangle, a class rectangle. Let's say I'll actually have explained the object previously, but again I'll explain what is an object, so no worries. Let's say car rectangle. Let's say class rectangle. What are the two things that comes to your mind when you heard rectangle? When you're trying to work on rectangle, what are the two things that comes to your mind? Put it in chat. What are when you have to work on rectangle, like you have to calculate something for rectangle, you have to calculate something for rectangle. For calculating any any area or any parameter, you need at least two things. That is your length and breadth or something. So that is provided by your class. When you say class rectangle, what are the possibilities of a rectangle? Height and width, that's it. That is a class. That is a class. Now let's take student. Let's take a student. What are the possible things a student can have? Let's bring it up an example. If you're talking about a student, I'll tell you why I'm writing this constructor. I'll tell you this. You can have his name, age, class, marks, like that. You can keep on you'll be keep on having them, you can keep on writing them. It is okay. Like that you can write, like that you can create a class, a blueprint. Class is nothing but a blueprint. Class is nothing but a blueprint. Why we need to create these blueprints? For example, okay, I'll tell you in more detail. Okay. Let's say uh, hmm, I'm starting a class. Okay, I'm starting a class. I'm writing a software. I'm an instructor. Listen to me carefully. I'm an instructor, and I'm writing a software for my class to maintain all their information, to keep all the students' information. I am writing a software. Okay. Now let sorry not let class. Okay, you tell me how to store all the students' data. How to store all the students data? Can anyone tell me? Like, the some data types I have already taught you, array, objects, and all. What is the best way to store students data? Object. It is object is right, because students data you need to know name, what is the name, what is the age, and all you need to know. Okay. Now look at the screen. I will show you there is a problem with that method. Student 1. Look at it, you will understand. Okay, this is enough. Okay, student 1 is done. Student 1 is done. I have written information of one student. Remember what I am saying again and again. I have written information of only one student. Let us student 2. Let's say name is Vishnu. Address maybe something like something like India, something. and class. Let's take 6a. Okay. Now, do you see any problem with this storage method? There is a problem. Can someone identify what is the problem here? Like I can create still student 3 I have to create, student 4 I have to create. If 60 students are there, I have to write 60 students. That is okay. Need to mention again and again. That is one point. There is also second thing. The main thing, main problem with this code, main problem with this kind of storing. Different number of properties. Creating multiple objects takes a lot of memory, different properties. Okay, I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. Am I storing the same data for every student? Am I storing same data for every student? No, right? But in reality, I have to store, because how can I, in reality, in real life situation, I have to take the same information from every student. Like if I take one student's phone number, I have to take phone number from every student, because I should not show any partiality kind of thing while taking data. But what happens when I'm writing a code is without me knowing, maybe for student 1, I have taken only a name and age. For student 32, I have taken only name, address, and class, and I forgot to take his age and all. So this becomes a problem. This is called data inconsistencies or object data inconsistency. We call it object data inconsistency. While in companies and all, they call it object data inconsistency. Why? Because your objects are not consistent. Here you are writing student 1 name and age. Here you are writing let student 2 name, address, and class. There is no consistency in them. There is no consistency in them. And one another thing, second thing, I have to write name, age, name, age, name, age, class again and again, repetition. Another problem. Are these two linked anywhere? Are these two linked anywhere? Like student 1 and student 2, anyhow they are linked? No, right? They are not linked. Student 1 is a completely different object. Student 2 is a completely different object. So when you're working on this kind of objects and data, it becomes very hard task for you to work on it. For example, you pushing this into an SQL, it becomes very hard task. You need to manually enter it sometimes, because there is no link. There's no link between student 1 and student 2. So it creates a lot of problems for this. To solve all the problems that I have mentioned now, they have come up with a concept called class. They have come up with a concept called class. Now the same thing, the same student data, I'll do it in a different way. See how I do it. Class student. You can also use a capital. It's okay. Let's bring up a good example. Or else I'll continue with this. I have to talk about what is this constructor will do. Let's say it takes name, it takes age, it takes class, it takes address. Oh, sorry, class is already given, so I cannot use it. For now, let's say name and age. Now let's think only name and age is there. Okay. I'll tell you what is this dot name and this dot age. Do not worry about it. I'll tell you. I'll tell you about what is this constructor, what is this dot name, why I'm writing it. I'm just showing you how it looks like. How it looks like. Now, now I'll run the code for you. Yeah. Now you tell me which one is better. Writing like individual objects and maintaining data inconsistency without having any link between them, and writing again name, age, name, address, class, or writing like this. Which one do you think is more precise, more consistent, better to see, better to understand? Second one, we have to use only constructor. I'll tell you what is this constructor and all. So yeah, second one, right? That is why we have something called class. Now I'll explain you what this code is about. First, we need to define the blueprint. We need to define what it has, what you're thinking, what properties you're thinking of an object. Okay, you need to one second. Suppose student 2 needs more parameters. In real life situation, you should not do like that. No, Tushar Kanta. We should not do like that. Why? Because even in real life or in companies, you cannot, if you are doing one for something, you have to do the same thing for everything to maintain that kind of thing. If for some person, like for example, if he's paying for extra tuition or something like that, you need to maintain his object separately. Like that, you have to maintain. You cannot mix them. Both are fine, but I don't think so, because when you're if you, these are two students, so it will be fine for you. When you're writing 100, when you're writing 200, then you will come to know how difficult for you to write this. Let student 1, let student 2, let student 3, for everyone writing name, age, name, age, name, age, name, age. uh, that time this will be very difficult. Because I have shown only two things, only two variables, you may feel it is easy, but by experience I'm telling, one time I wrote a JSON like this. It took me nearly 3 days for writing nearly 600 things of data. It is very hard task to do like this, but here it is simple. Just write the values here, and automatically it will be created for you. So yeah, where I stopped, you have to define what the things that you want. What the things that you want? For every student, I want name and his age. Name and his age. Now comes the concept of constructor. What is this constructor? If you see anywhere, I have not given. I have not. I'm sending these values to the class. I'm sending these values to the class. If you see properly, I'm writing student Monish 23. But here, anywhere I have written parameters. Look at the screen and tell me. I'm sending arguments, but for student, I am receiving any parameters. My question is, I'm sending arguments here. For student class, I'm sending Monish 23. But is there any parameter for student here? Here. Is there any parameter for student? No, right? I have not written it. Remember, for classes, the parameter comes in constructor. For classes, the parameter comes in constructor. The parameters that you want to write for a class, you will never write here. It will throw an error for you. You have to write in for a constructor. Now, what is this constructor? Constructors and classes are closely linked together. Constructors are invoked automatically when a class is called. For example, if you see, whatever the initialization that I wrote, I have wrote inside constructor. I have not written inside the class. Understand what I'm saying? The initialization part always comes in the constructor. Well, whatever the things that you want to initialize, for example, name, age, address, contact number, all these things, they come inside constructor. This is called initialization. Initialization in the sense setting the values. You have to set Monish and 23 to student 1. You have to set Vishnu and 24 to student 2. This is called setting the values. Setting the values or initialization. This is done by your constructor. That is why I have given name and age here. And what is this dot name and what is this dot age? If anyone remembered, I have talked about this. Can anyone tell me here what is this refers to? What is this refers to? Does it refer to student? Think and answer. Does it refer to this student? uh, or let me put it in this way. This refers to classes or objects. I've said to you in while explaining this actually. This refers to classes or this refers to objects? This refers to objects is correct answer. And what are the objects here? What are the objects that I have here in this complete code? What I have two objects. What are the two objects? Name and age are not objects. Name and age are parameters. They are parameters and arguments, but they are not objects. Yeah, student 1 and student 2 are objects. Student 1 and student 2 are objects. Student 1 is an object, student 2 is an object. So what is happening is, when I'm calling 369, this is referring to student 1. When line number 369 is getting executed, this is referring to student 1. When line number 370 is getting executed, this refers to student 2. This refers to student 2. Once again I am repeating. See that if I don't use this, what happens? If I don't use this, what happens? You see, is it created? Is it student created? Is this is the data in the student created? Again, I'm explaining why the concept of this, why we use this and all. No. Okay, tell me one thing. Now I have not used this. Okay. I said a new student Mounesh 23. I've said a new student Vishnu 24. Okay. Now, how will my class know? Means until and unless this is written, we don't know it is student 2. Until and unless this is written, we don't know it is student 1. When we are calling just student Mounesh 23, student Mounesh Vishnu 24, how will the class know? Mounesh belongs to student 1, 23 belongs to student 1, Vishnu belongs to student 2, 24 belongs to student 2. Maybe I could have written it in this way also, right? I could have written student 2 first and student 1 second. Can anyone answer me how the class will know, if I have not written this, how the class will know that Vishnu and 24 belongs to student 2 and Mounesh and 23 belongs to student 1? Can anyone answer me this? How it will know? How the class knows that Vishnu and 24 belongs to student 2, Mounesh and 23 belongs to student 1? How it knows? It doesn't know actually. The truth is it doesn't know. The class doesn't know Vishnu and 24 to which object it belongs. Mounesh and 23 which object it belongs. It doesn't know. New means new object. New object. For student 1 we create a new separate object. For student 2 we create a new separate object. New means new object. New one. A new object creation. So we use something called this. Now what happens is, for example, BMW is coming to this class and saying, I need one blue color windows, this one, that one. Now the class will know, oh, okay, BMW is asking me all these things, and it will be providing all these details to BMW. Next, let's say Tesla comes, I need electrical engine, something like that. Now the class will know, because since we have used this keyword, the class will know to which it is referring to. The class knows, okay, Tesla has asked me now all these things, so let me send back to Tesla. It will be sending back to Tesla. So that is how this keyword works. If you are calling new student Vishnu 24 and you are using this keyword, now it will automatically know, oh, okay, Vishnu and 24 belongs to student 2, because this is referring to student 2. Now here Mounesh and 23, this class will know because this refers to student 1 now. So that is how it works. Have you all understood this one? Is new used with constructor only? No, new is used with strings. New is used with set. New is used with maps. If you remember, for set we used new. For map we used new. Whenever you are trying to create a new, this kind of objects or and all, we use new. How this feature help to new object? Yeah, this keyword just gives reference. Yes, it doesn't do anything. It just points out to which object we are working on. How this feature help to know new object? This has that functionality. This will always refer to the object that we are working on. Yeah, Vishnu is my friend. Yeah. New create new instance. That is exactly right. I actually instance I have to still teach you, but yeah, new creates new object, and we also call it instance. We also call it an instance. Instance. It is creating a new instance of this class. It is creating a new instance of this class. Instance of this class means a copy of this class. A new, just for example, blueprint is there, right? Otherwise, I'll tell you this. You have not used student. Let's say, sorry, you have not used new. Okay, you have not used new. Error will be coming anyhow. So let's say this thing. There is a car blueprint. I told you in the example that I've given you. There is a car blueprint. Now, if BMW comes and if it takes the original copy of the blueprint, car blueprint, and it goes away, is it justified? Is it justified? Like there is a car blueprint that has to be shared among all the car companies. BMW suddenly comes to the class, its blueprint place where it is. It takes the complete original blueprint and it goes away. Is it justified? Like, is it okay to do like that? What do you think? What are your views on it? Not okay, right? The same thing is happening here. If student 2 comes and if he takes the entire functionality of student, there is only one copy. This is the original copy. Whatever that you see here, that is the original copy of student. If student 2 comes and if he's saying, I am taking the original copy, then student 1 will not have a copy. Student 1 will not have a class. So that is the reason we use new. Now what this new will do is, new is like taking Xerox copies. BMW comes, takes a Xerox of car blueprint, goes away. Tesla comes, takes a Xerox of blueprint, goes away. New is nothing but taking Xerox, just like an instance. Instance is nothing but creating a new copy. We are not touching the original. Again, remember, this may be an interview question also. You will never touch an original class. You are never touching an original class. You are not gonna touch it. You are only making copies of it. You are only modifying it. But original copy remains the same. So that is the point. Aditya, is this answered for you, Aditya? This dot name equal to name. This name comes here, this age comes here. And we are just initializing it. If you write Monish here, write this dot Monish equal to Monish. Like that. Always comes under curly bracket, but here we don't use. But sir, when we create a new object, it always comes under curly bracket, but here we don't use. Yeah, here this is a different kind of object I'm telling, right? This is an object that is an instance of class, so you no need to again write curly braces and all. Write whatever you want. Class will create an object for you. Like blueprint company, they will only take Xerox, they will only provide it to BMW, like that. They will only create an object for you. You don't need to create an object. Your object creation is this only, that just this. So that is the point. Next comes the famous example, bind. Pokemon example. This Pokemon example is a bit famous one for explaining bind and call and apply. Even if you go to internet and you search it, you will find these two things. You will find a Pokemon example. When we call it Pokemon example. Let me show it to you. Yeah, let's talk about bind. Now, let's change this where to let. I don't like where. You know why I don't like where. Let. Pay attention here. This is an easy one. Just pay some attention. That would be enough. Now, here, if you see, let me ask you one thing. What is this? I know in JavaScript everything is an object, so you will say, if I ask anything from now on, you will say, sir, it is an object. Not like that. What is that? What, by seeing this structure, what is this? Like, you can say like it is an object. You can. What do you think this is? No, it's not a class. I know some of you. It's an object. It's a normal object. It's a true object. Actually, this is a true object. It's not a class. It's a true object. But you can consider, since we don't use constructor, we don't call it a class. Yeah, you can call it a true object, a normal object. The thing that I've shown you, it is an object. It consists of keys and values, and it is also having the functions in object. Now, what is this? 385 to 387. What is this? What is the thing that I'm using? Is this, what is this? Not code. Like, what do we call it? What do we call it? Or else I'll give you options. It is much more better. Whether this is an object, no, I'm not asking in root. I'm just asking normally. Whether it is an object, function, array, something else. Function. It is a function. So you all agreed that this is an object and this is a function. This is an, again and again I'm repeating. This is this is an object and this is a function. This is an object and this is a function. Okay. And are there two different things? Are there two linked together, or are there two are different? Like, are they linked in any way, or they're like two separate things? Can you confirm me by looking? Different. They are different. They are not linked. This starts here, this ends here. This starts here, this ends here. Now think of a scenario. In line number 386, if you see, in line number 386, console.log, this dot get poke name. Okay, this is a problem now. This dot get poke name. Okay, where is this get poke name? Where it is there? Can you look at the screen and tell me in which line it is there? This get poke name function is somewhere. I want you to know. I want you to tell me where it is. 379. Now, this function is calling this object's inner function. Understand what I'm saying? This Pokemon name function is calling this get poke name function. This function is calling this get poke name function. It's like taking its helper, like helper function. Yesterday we learned. No, it's not a function calling itself. No, it's not a function calling itself, because Pokemon name is different, get to poke name function is different. We are calling get to poke name function from Pokemon name, from Pokemon name. Now, if I just run the code, if I just call Pokemon name, what do you think? Will it work or not? I'll run the code also for you. What do you think? It's not working, right? Can you tell me why it's not working? Can anyone tell me why it's not working? There is a big reason for it. This is an object, and the object consists of a function, get poke name. This is an outer function, somewhere, outer function, Pokemon name function, this dot get poke name. Now, we called this function's, this object's function. It says get this dot get Pokemon is not a function. Can anyone tell me why? What is happening here? You want me to do Pokemon dot get poke name? Okay, let's try Pokemon. You want me like this, but I'm not calling this one, right? I'm calling Pokemon name. Okay, you are saying let's put Pokemon dot get poke name here itself. This might work. This is one way. Okay, but there is a problem with it. Oh, Pokemon is removed. Like, this output will be coming, but there is a problem. Oh, it's not even taking. Get poke name. Oh, let me once check the name. It has to take. That's why. Okay, that's correct. Yeah, the output is coming. Well and good. But still, there is a problem. What if I create more objects with it? Then it, and there's no Pokemon name doesn't know that this object exists also. This Pokemon function, when interpreting or compiling, this Pokemon function doesn't even know that there is a function called Pokemon. It doesn't know. The CPU won't tell this function. So what we can do is we can combine this Pokemon name and this Pokemon object. What we can do is we can create a copy of this Pokemon name. We can create a copy of this Pokemon name and we can paste it here. And we can paste it here. Now will it work or not? Based on your knowledge, you tell me. Now this kind of thing will work or not? Now this works or not? If I run a code like this, now here this will know that this is inside an object. It will know it is Pokemon. Now you tell me this works or not. Or else let's try this. Now I have to call it in such a way that Pokemon dot Pokemon name. Yeah, it is working. So what I'm trying to prove is again I'm coming from the start. Once again I will repeat. Listen carefully. What I'm trying to prove is if you have an object, and if you have a function separately, or if you have an object and if you have a function separately, and if the function is taking help from a function that is inside another object, you need to combine them to make them work. You need to combine them to make them work. If there's two separate things, they won't work. You need to call it, or you need to make a copy of it, and you need to put it inside the object. Then only it will work. So for doing that, we can't or else when I run this code, can I manually copy this and paste it here? But after I running this code, can I manually copy this and paste it here after running the code? I'm saying after running the play button, in that milliseconds of time, can I copy this and paste it here? No, right? It's not possible. So that is why we use something called bind. Now what is this bind will do? Whatever the things that I've shown you now, that's exactly what bind does. Binder, when you run this code, it automatically creates a copy of this Pokemon name and pastes into this Pokemon object. Now if I run the code, oh sorry, this also I have to call it. I have to call log Pokemon. I will get the output Pikachu, I choose you. Pikachu, I choose you. So what is happening is I am not copy pasting, but I am using something called bind. Bind simply binds together this Pokemon name and this Pokemon. It is binding this function and this object. That's it. Nothing more than that. It creates a new object and binds Pokemon. That's it. Now did you understood what is bind? Bind will just combine this and this. It's just like concatenation, but we are doing it for objects and functions. You don't need to use semicolons. Semicolons are optional in JavaScript. Again, I'm repeating. Binding is just binding together, like concatenating this function and this object. It's just making them together one place. It creates a copy of this Pokemon and it gives that functionality to Pokemon name. For example, this Pokemon name knows where this Pokemon is there and it has a copy of it. Now next comes the concept of call and apply, which is an extension of bind. Yeah, bind is just like Control C and Control V. Now call and apply. With call and apply, I'll give you a break. Do not worry. Call and apply is just like your bind. Same like your bind, no difference at all. But in bind, once look at the screen and tell me, anywhere have I used parameters in bind when working on bind? When I'm giving you bind example, does Pokemon name have any parameters? Pokemon name function? No, right? We have not used any arguments or parameters. We have not used. But what if this has parameters? What if it has parameters? If it has parameters, bind won't work. Remember, bind works only for non-parametrical functions. Bind works only for non-parameter functions. You cannot send parameters in bind. It is not possible. To send parameters in bind, we use something called call and apply. We use something called call and apply. Now it is the same code, but the only small difference that I have made is we have added parameters. We have added parameters. What are the two parameters I have added in the Pokemon name function? Can you tell me what are the two new parameters? I have added two new parameters. What are those two parameters? Snack and hobby. That's exactly right. Snack and hobby are the two parameters that I have added. Now, for snack and hobby, you cannot use bind function. Why? Because bind function, we cannot send any arguments. Bind does not accept it. So we use something called call. Call exactly works as bind, but we can send parameters. But we can send parameters. If you send those parameters in an array, we call it apply. If you send the parameters separately, like with a comma, we call it, we use call, dot call. If you send it with an array, we use dot apply. Just three things you have learned: bind, call, apply. When you're trying to combine an object and a function, you can use bind, call, and apply. Any three, in this three, anything you can use. If you're working on a no parameter function, it is best to use bind. If you are working on a parameter function, you can use call and apply. You can use call and apply. If you are sending those parameters separately, like separate parameters, like sushi, comma, algorithms, like that, you can use call. If you are sending that parameters using an array, you will be using apply. That's it. In both the cases, same output. If I run the code, Pikachu loves sushi and algorithms. Now see, I am commenting call and I am uncommenting apply. Now I will run the code. Pikachu loves sushi and algorithms. Same output, same functionality, but bind does not take parameters. Bind does not take arguments. Call takes arguments, but separately. They should not be in an array. Apply takes arguments, but they should be in an array. They should be in an array. Prototype. What is this JavaScript prototype? Prototype, I told you, I've shown you a live demo, like what is prototype and all. Just like example that I'm gonna give here is, everyone do look at the screen once. Here, let's say I don't given this command. I have not given this function. I've already told this to you. If we want to add a if we want to add a new key, if we want to add a new key to an object, if we want to add a new key to an object, then what do we do? And here, this is, we can consider this as a class function person when we are using this, right? This is called constructor functions. Here, you no need to write class. You can write it in this way. It is, you can consider this as a class. This can be considered as a class. Now, I want to add a new key called nationality. How do I do that? How would I add it? How do I add it for a normal object? If I want to add a new one more key that I forgot, on that day I've explained you how to add it. What do we do to add it? Do anyone remembered it? Person.add. That is it for object. Person.add is for object. Lokesh, remember, for normal object, I'm talking about object. That day I've shown you something. When we want to add a new key or something, we have done something there on that day. Set, have you used set for an object? Set is for map. For map, we use dot set. Dot add, we use it for set. We use prototype. We use prototype. What is this prototype? Prototype, I have already explained it to you. When we click F12, when we type any object, for every object there will be a prototype. Every object there will be a prototype. Every object, everything that you take will have a prototype in it. What does this prototype do? It is like a watchman. Prototype is like a watchman. Whenever you want to modify the object, you need to first tell prototype. Whenever you want to make some modifications, every time you do a call or something, prototype gets invoked. Prototype has all the metadata of a object. Now when we want to add a nationality to this person, we need to type person dot prototype dot nationality equal to English. We need to type it. Also, when I want to add a new function, we need to say person dot prototype dot name, which is a function. So now if you do console.log person, say dot, I have to create a new thing, right? I want to show you that these things are added. Let's say some name. Let's see. What is last? Oh, last it is again a name. Something. Again, I'm telling this can be considered as a class. We call it functional constructors. We call them functional constructors. This concept will be again coming to you in the coming classes. This is a functional constructor. Now, you see this person, a new pop-up came nationality. You can give anything or else you can also leave it. It's not a problem. Now, if I do console.log, the nationality came now. Can anyone see the screen and tell me if the nationality has came up or not? Is the nationality printed? Or else I'll print the entire person one. Yeah, dot nationality is only better. Yes, right. So this is if you missed out something, you can add it using this prototype dot nationality. And also you can call the functions also console.log person one dot name, this name. I'm talking about this name. If I run it, I'll get Monisha. So just I wanted to prove is in a function, if in a functional constructor, if you anytime you missed something to add, you can use prototype to add it. You can use prototype to add it. That's what I want. Inheritance is a concept of where parent will be there, one parent will be there, one child will be there. A parent, a child. In real life, think of a parent and a child. In real life, think of a parent and a child. Now, I'll ask you a few questions. In real life scenario, answer me back. Does the property of a parent comes to a child, or the property of a child comes to a parent? In real life, how it happens? Parent to child or child to parent? First one, right? It is parent to child. Always the properties comes from parent to child. Second thing, properties is completed. You all agreed that it is parent to child. Now second question. Behavior. Behavior. Does behavior traits comes from from parent to child or from child to parent? Behavioral trials. Here behavior means functions. Behaviors means functions. Like you will behave like your father, but when I'm aging, I may acquire some new things, but that does not goes to my father. It stays with me. So it is parent to child. It is parent to child. That is second thing. Okay, it is done. Mm, third thing. Third thing. Who has more authority in a family? Who has more authority, parent or a child? Parent has more authority. That is also right. Who has more control? Authority in the sense control only, so it can be parent. Yeah. So now we have answered three things. One is regarding properties, it is from parent to child. Object traits, that is functions, it is parent to child. Authority control, it is parent to child. From parent only, it has to come from child. Now, as a child, or else I'll put it in more words. Who has bigger advantage here? Think in a like real life situation. Who has more advantage, a parent or a child? Here in our scenario or in a real life, who has more advantage? Child only, right? Child only has more advantage. Why? Because parent, he has to has his own properties, he has to have his own functions, he has to get the property and all. We simply, as a child, we make use of it. We don't generate anything, we don't give them anything back. We take all of that, we make use of it. That is as a child. So the same thing goes to inheritance concept in JavaScript. In JavaScript, there will be two things called parent class, child class. There will be parent class, child class. Parent class has more functions, parent class has higher authority and all. Child class inherits means takes. Inherits means takes. Inherits all the properties, functions, objects, variables, values, everything from child parent. Everything from parent class. It takes everything from parent class, but parent cannot take anything from child class. What I wanted to say is, child can access all the properties and objects of a parent class, but parent class cannot access child class objects and properties. It cannot access them. Have you all understood the concept of JavaScript inheritance or not? If not, say it to me now itself. I'll make it better. That is the concept of inheritance. There will be two things. One will have a super class, one will have a child class. Child class can take all the properties of super class, but super class can't take from child class. Now, how to do this and some examples. In JavaScript, inheritance can be done by two ways. One is prototype chaining. The other is class extents. If you ask me, I would prefer you to use class extents. But there is also something called prototype chaining. But anyways, I'll explain you both the things. Now, if you see this thing, like class person, let's say I have another class child. Let's say child. It has a constructor, blah blah blah, some stuff. I don't care what it has and all. It has something. Now, this is prototype. This is parent class. Let's change this to parent. Okay. Now, can you use your knowledge of prototype and can you tell me how to link this parent and child? Okay, I'll just tell it to you. It is very simple. Just to write parent.prototype equal to new. Sorry. Here child. It goes for child. Child.prototype equal to new parent. Can anyone tell me why I have done this? That is right. What I am doing is, I have taken the parent class, I have taken all the properties of my parent, I have made a copy, then I took everything. then I took everything. It's like in real life, we'll direct without making a copy, we'll directly take it. We'll directly take the property. But I told you, right, in JavaScript, we do not take directly. We have to create new. We have to create a new copy of it. So whatever the parent class functionality is there, we take a new copy of it, and we'll take everything whatever the parent has. We'll take everything that the class has. If the class has functions, we take it. If the class has properties, we take it. If the class has objects, we take it. We take everything from it. Inheritance of parent property. In this line number 4, that is this one line is called prototype chaining. It is called prototype chaining because you are creating a chain between child and parent. You are creating a chain for child and parent. So have you all understood now what is prototype chaining? If you can see the example here also, this line, subtype dot prototype equal to new supertype, child dot prototype equal to new parent. This is how we do prototype extents. What is class extents? Class extents is very straightforward. I'll put it here. Okay. Now, what is this class extents? Okay. Now, this is parent class. This is parent class. This is child class. Let's remove this for some time. Okay. Now, to link this child class, with this parent class, just don't do anything. Just simply write here extends parent. Extends parent. That's it. Done. Extends parent. That's it. Inheritance is done. Ho gaya. Class child extends parent. For the class child, after that you will write extends parent. It is gonna take all the properties, but you need to use one more keyword called super. What is this super? This super is nothing but when this class extends parent is there, right? It takes the properties, but it does not take the values. It does not take the parameters. For that, you will be using something called super brand. Now, what this brand is, here you see a brand, right? BRAND brand. This super brand, what it is saying is, I want my parents parameter called brand. I don't want my parameter. I want my parents parameter called brand. So super is just nothing but calling person. Sorry, calling parent. We use super in the sense my above. Who is my above? My parent is my above authority. I talked about authority, if you remember. Super in the sense my above authority, who it is. My above authority is my parent. So I'm just calling parent. In front of the parent, I'm taking the brand. This is the brand. Now if I run this code, for example, let's run the code. This document.html, you will not be able to see it. Let's take console.log. Sorry, model is not defined. What is model? One second. I've changed the class names. So, this child is model. Okay, child is model. So I have to change this to child. Now it is okay. I have a for it is Mustang, which is working. That's it. Like that, like just extends parent, and whenever you want a parameter, just use super. Can different word can be used in place of brand? Like you can use anything. You can use it's just a variable name. Anything. Here also make sure it has Monish. That's it. Yeah, it is single inheritance, Ravindra. Okay.